Hello, this is a video on how to play the card game Crazy Jacks. Bear with me here because Crazy Jacks is a very unconventional card game. It's not really similar to any other card game out there, and so it might be quite different from what you are used to. And so Crazy Jacks is mainly played in parts of the eastern USA. It is known by other names such as Jack Foolery. It's played with cards and by default, most people use chips, but in reality, you just need something to mark the cards, right? It doesn't matter if it's a chip, if it's a circle, if it's a square, just something to mark the cards. And so, in terms of how you play, um, you basically need two standard 52 card decks, and so you'll essentially form a 10 by 10 board with your two standard 52 card decks. Um, Keep in mind that you'll have 10 cards like so and just in rows constantly. Do note that your 4 Joker cards, right, because you'll have 2 from each deck, they're placed in the 4 corners. These 4 Joker corners are wild cards and can be part of any. The 4 corners are wild and can be part of any sequence. So, you'll need about 50 counters, each of 2 colors if there are 2 or 4 players. And so these are placed on the board, right, simply to just indicate which team owns which cell, right? That's their only significance. And so just grab a marker of some sorts, cut out some squares, anything like that, and that will work. So each player or team takes the counters of one color. In this case, 108 cards are shuffled, and the dealer deals a hand of 5 cards to each player, which corresponds to a card on the board. And so what will happen is players will take turns in clockwise order. At your turn, what you'll need to do is place counters on the board if you have the matching card in your hand. Okay, do note that you replenish your hand by drawing the top card from the stock pile, and then it is going to be the next player's turn. And so it's pretty simple here, and we'll show you how it's played. So essentially, we know that we have a 9 of clubs, right? And the objective is, for your team at least, is to create a sequence of 5 counters horizontally, vertically, or diagonally by placing counters corresponding to matching cards that you have. So I know that, and you could also strategically place them to block the enemy team. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to think strategically. I know that I have a 9 of clubs, right? And I could place it right there. But I'm also looking for a king of clubs, as well as some other cards which I have. And so we're just going to demonstrate here, not really going to talk about strategy, but I'll essentially take a card and then you'd play it, right? And so that's simply what you do. You place counters if you have the corresponding chip, or the corresponding card, sorry. The four corners are indeed wild and belong to all players and can be used in a sequence, right? The first player to create two sequences wins. And so you want to create two sequences, or the first team, sorry, to create two sequences wins. You want to create two sequences, so that's two sets of 5 in a row. So what's the objective? The objective is to create two sets of 5 in a row by placing counters on matching cards that you have. Each player is dealt 5 cards. In this case, I'm unsure as to why there are 7 cards here on my side. But that's essentially it. So, two-eyed jacks are wild. And so, playing a two-eyed jack of clubs or diamonds entitles the player to place a counter of their color on any unoccupied space on the board. And so, do note that you take a card and you play it face up, right? And so, that's essentially it. So jacks are quite valuable. So a two-eyed jack is wild, right? So it allows you to place a counter on any unoccupied space, while a one-eyed jack, so that's hearts or spades, entitles the player to remove from the board any counter belonging to an opponent. So clubs or diamonds allow you to, of jacks, allow you to take any space, while hearts and spades of jacks allow you to remove any of your opponent's counters from any space. That's why it's called crazy jacks. So to sum it up, crazy jacks, the objective is to form two sequences of 5 in a row. You do this by playing a card onto the table that matches a card in the grid, discarding your card in the process and placing a counter on that card. If you play a two-eyed jack, so that's your clubs or diamonds, you can place a chip or a counter of your color on any unoccupied space on the board. If you play with a one-eyed jack, that kills your opponent's counters. And so playing a one-eyed jack, so that's a heart or a spade, entitles the player to remove any of the opponent's counters from the board. The four corners are wild cards and can be used as part of any player's sequence. So it's literally that simple. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to try to help aid. We're going to play that 4 right there, so we can sort of go for a vertical sequence here. We don't have any jacks, so that's okay. So now it's our turn again. I'm going to look here. I'm going to see that there's potential for a diagonal play here. So that's what I'm going to do here. So now I could play my king of clubs, but that's not really beneficial to me right now. So what I'll do is I'll play I could play my 2 of diamonds once again. And so this is really just a demo. I believe you may have understood the game by now, but we'll play it out just so you can really get a grip. The king of spades. Is it beneficial to play the king of spades right now? No, not really. What about the 7 of spades here? The 7 of spades, well, that's going to be a bit harder, right? Because we have to make sure that we can make a strategic play that won't impact anybody. And so let us think here. And so remember, when you play a card from your hand, you do draw a card from the stockpile. And so that really depends, right? You'll need 2 stock decks just to set up the board. But you'll also want probably additional deck of cards, right? So 3 decks in total. And every time a card is played, just place it in the discard pile, and then keep shuffling that and reusing that as your stockpile. At least that seems to be the most easiest way to do it. And so let us continue playing here. We have the 7 of spades. So where can we place it? Well, can we place it in an advantageous position? Not really. What about the 9 of spades? Not really. What about the 9 of hearts? Not so much. And what about the Queen of spades? Queen of spades, we could place. Seems like. Where's the other spot for the other Queen of spades? Right there. Not really beneficial. But we'll still have to make a play regardless. And so what we'll do is we'll simply make a play on the King of spades there. Just for the sake of keeping it fast paced, we'll continue making plays here. So as you can see, it does require a lot of strategy to ensure that your game board is not occupied. Let us just think here. There's not really a move that should be made or that needs to be made. However, yeah. Granted that there are no other. Actually, we'll go for a block on the diagonal situation there. Okay. We'll place one right there. And remember, you want to get 2 groups of cards within 5 in a row. And so they are close. They are close. What we'll have to do is we'll okay, so it's our turn. Let's see, will the King of Clubs help us block or aid our position? Not so much. Actually, it could be. What about the 7 of spades? Does seem like it here. So that's what we're going to go for. Okay. So we have a jack, and that's very beneficial. Why is that? Right? Remember, in this case, it's a jack of clubs. And so a jack of clubs is a 2-eyed jack. It allows us to place a counter on any unoccupied space. And so what we're going to do is we're going to sort of look, right? If we play our King of Clubs, will it help us out? Not so much. Not at all, really. If we play our 9 of spades, not so much. But it could. The 9 of spades could be a play that we need to make. If we play our 9 of hearts, I'm going to play the 9 of hearts just to block out that sequence of 4 there. Or that potential sequence of 5. So the King of Clubs, is it going to help us? Not so much. 9 of spades, it could. Queen of spades, not so much. Jack, we'll save that. The ace of clubs. We look here. Is there any other free? Well, there's a free ace spot right there. That could be beneficial to try to get one right there, but we'll see. The 2 of spades. There's one right there. But the other one, I believe, is occupied. So we could place a card there, and then we have our 10 of hearts. Is our 10 of hearts beneficial? Not really, so we're going to go for the 9 of spades play here. Okay. So we have both queens of spades. There's no impending threat by a possible... Okay. There is an impending threat. It's in my best interest to block that right there. So that's what I'm going to do. I blocked that right there. What does that do? It prevents this 5 sequence right here. It prevents this 3 sequence from turning into a 5 sequence. So that was a very smart play by me. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to do our best to create a 5 sequence here. We don't have the required cards, but let's see. Can our king of clubs do anything? Nope. Still sort of useless, and that's okay. What about our ace of clubs? That seems to be in the same boat. Let's look at our 2 of spades here. And so our 2 of spades could be somewhat useful, and that's what I'm leaning towards. Our 10 of hearts, not so useful, but it is still quite useful. Then we have our queen of spades. Not really useful. Then we have our king of clubs, once again, not really useful. Then we have our 5 of diamonds. Our 5 of diamonds wouldn't aid us because the 1 5 of diamond spot that currently exists on the board is quite blocked. And so what we'll do is we'll simply play the 10 of hearts there. Where's the 7 of spades? I think I'm just going to go for a claim on the joker. Oh, so I must have a matching card to play a chip on the joker square. And so jokers should be wild, and so we should be able to play a card on the jokers. However, you can only play a card on the jokers provided that it is the 5th card in a sequence. So if you have 4 chips lined up, let's say we had 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can use the joker to help complete your sequence, then you'd go ahead and do that. So you can only use the jokers if they'd help you complete a sequence. So I forgot to mention that one little bonus. Remember, it could be horizontally, vertically, or diagonally. And so, well, I guess I'll just play. That's not really beneficial. That's not really beneficial either. There aren't many beneficial plays to be made, as much of the board is taken up here. And so, we got one sequence there. And so, in terms of jokers, you don't even have to place a card on them. They simply become part of your sequence once you have 4 in a row near them. So we just need one more. So, is there one more that we could get? Well, let us look here. We have 3 in a row right there. And so if we can somehow complete that, which would be quite hard, but let's try. Where's our 10 of clubs there? Right there. We'll block that potential sequence there. Now we simply need a 9 of hearts. That's our objective. What I'll do is I will play the king of clubs just to get rid of some cards there. So we got the 4 of clubs, but it's not that useful. And so
we just completed another diagonal sequence here, and so we have one sequence there, and then one sequence there. And so we ended up winning the game. And so as you can see, Crazy Jacks is quite simple, right? The objective being to create two sequences of 5 in a row with your counters, right? You'll need two standard decks just to set up, and then additional decks to draw from to replenish your hand. Do note that the 4 jokers are wild in the corners. They are part of your sequence once you have completed 4 out of 5, and if it is the last card needed for your sequence, it automatically counts as part of your sequence. And so, what else? Well, do note that you have your special cards. You have your one-eyed jacks and your two-eyed jacks, right? Your two-eyed jacks are wild. So that's your jack of clubs and jack of diamonds. They allow you to place a counter of any color on any unoccupied space on the board. A one-eyed jack kills your opponent's counters, and so playing a one-eyed jack, so a jack of hearts or jack of spades, entitles you to remove from the board any one counter belonging to an opponent. And so note, that's why there are no jack spaces on the board there, right? That's simply because the jacks are crazy. That's why the name of the game is Crazy Jacks. So that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this very, very unique card game. And hopefully you play it sometime. That is all. Thank you for watching.